Salutations everyone, it is Matty here, and welcome to a video on The Witcher 3. Today I'm going to be discussing why I feel The Witcher 3 is the gold standard for modern role-playing games. A huge emphasis on modern, because I think there are many games that we could all pick if we were to talk about the gold standard for RPGs in general. Before I go any further, allow me to preface all of this by saying I am not by any means a CD Projekt Red fanboy. I don't even think most people who praise the hell out of The Witcher 3 are fanboys, because I think even if you don't enjoy this title, which some people don't like the combat or feel it's a little clunky, I understand that, but you can at least appreciate the care and effort that went into this and hope it sets an example for other games within its genre. For me, I completed one full playthrough of The Witcher 3, thought, damn, that was awesome, and then proceeded to move on to Batman Arkham Knight without looking back. So why am I making a video about a game that came out in 2015 in early 2017? Well, opinion warning. Time has passed and a lot of role-playing games have released since then. More and more as this genre progresses, I see nothing but games being watered down. I even say this to an extent about Final Fantasy 15, which was my favorite single-player game of 2016, and a title which I adore, but aside from leveling up, what kind of role-playing am I exactly doing? Remind me, please. There are releases here and there that I personally think do justice to the RPG genre, but it feels so few and far between. While reading an article by Gamma Sutra, I felt that they perfectly broke down how choice in video games can be impactful. They describe it as requiring the four following components. Awareness. The player must be somewhat aware that they are making a choice. 2. Gameplay consequences. The choice must have consequences that are both gameplay and aesthetically oriented. 3. Reminders. The player must be reminded of the choice they made after they made it. And 4. Permanence. The player cannot go back and undo their choice after exploring the consequences. Now think about it. How many role-playing games have come out in the past handful of years that meet those requirements as an RPG? Chances are only a few games really make that list, and mind you, I'm focusing mainly on the big budget RPGs at this point. Games nowadays seem to provide what is referred to as the quote illusion of choice end quote. An example is Fallout 4's conversation wheel. Take this instance where we're meeting Mayor McDonough for the first time ever. We can say something nice or we can say something mean.
Always believed in freedom of the press.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring you into this argument, good sir. No. You look like Diamond City material.
This really isn't any of my business.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring you into this argument, good sir. No. You look like Diamond City material.
As you're well aware, the reaction is the same, and that type of stuff occurs all throughout Fallout 4. A very current example can also be applied to Mass Effect Andromeda's leveling system. Sure, you're making a decision on how to build your character, but how crucial is that decision when you can 180 and undo all of it? Now let's look at The Witcher 3. It's hard to pick one example because littered throughout the entire title are choices with consequence. I'll be using the Bloody Baron questline, which is a part of the main story, and it's honestly better than most, if not all, narratives from 2015. Starting off with when you originally arrive at Crow's Perch. Say you didn't break up the fight earlier with the guards in the Nilfgaardian Connections quest. They won't let you in. You actually have to discover an alternate route inside. Now that may seem minor, and it is, but that's what the game has littered about. Little variables leading up to that big decision. Speaking of big decisions, let's talk about the ending of the Bloody Baron, so spoiler warning here. When the Crones task you with killing the spirit locked away under the Great Willow, you have to kill it. If you free it, the Crones retaliate by cursing Anna. She's turned into a hag, and once you remove the curse, she dies. This in turn causes the Baron to hang himself back at Crow's Perch. Kill the spirit under the willow, and you should be able to get the quote, good ending, where the Baron takes Anna away to be healed. But if you do this, the children are eaten by Crones. Essentially, there isn't a fairy tale ending for this one. You're going to feel the weight of making the decision big time. As this is just a small example of the choices you can make in the game with pure impact. I couldn't even begin to break down all the decisions you make with multiple permutations, considering there are wikis and sites dedicated to that, and I'm yet to really find a complete one. Witcher 3 praise aside though, my issue is that I see the RPG genre growing. It's more popular than it has ever been. But can we say that for the art form of the role-playing genre itself? Can we really say that although the popularity has progressed, that so have the meaningful ways of making choices in-game? As I mentioned, it seems like those moments are few and far between, but it would be close-minded to just neglect that to make my point. That is what makes these titles stand out from the bunch, the ones that go the extra mile and make sure I feel like what I did truly made a difference. Plus, games are more expensive to create nowadays. Sure, I can go back and pick games from the early 2000s and point out how many alternating decisions I could make that didn't come out at the sacrifice of gameplay or graphics, but that was then. This is now, where games require multi-million-dollar budgets compared to back then. Still, there's no excuse for companies like an EA or Ubisoft and so on, who certainly have money in the bank to make an impactful gaming experience like that. The difference for me and why I simply appreciate The Witcher 3 is because I don't see sacrifices and excuses. A lot of game devs come out and say how sometimes the choice can't be done in full for games because of the other production focuses, such as cutscenes to represent your choices, gameplay repercussions, and so on. With all that said, CD Projekt Red is not the perfect company they're made out to be. Their developers constantly work overtime, barely receive bonuses, and that's on top of an already low pay. Regardless, when I look at The Witcher 3 as a game, even as someone who isn't 110% in love with it, I can appreciate it for what it is and what it has done for our games industry in the terms of setting a standard for quality. Plus, it doesn't hurt that after the game launched, we received 16 pieces of continuous free DLC on top of the wonderful and worthwhile paid content, which was Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine. Blood and Wine in particular is a DLC that rivaled the vanilla game itself, and players are conflicted on which one they like more, and I think that says a lot considering how highly touted The Witcher 3 is. Regardless, this is the conversation I wanted to have, because when I was thinking, like I said earlier, about seeing the RPG genre grow, I haven't seen that same type of progression focused on actually progressing the art of a role-playing game. A big thanks to Reddit user Socrates for inspiring this discussion with his awesome Reddit post. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Are there any other games in recent memory that have really set a gold standard for this genre that I did not mention? I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, as well as considering to support our Patreon. All those links will be in the description down below. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.